I've just touched down at Malta's International Airport, only 5 minutes from plane to pavement. I've been to the island many times before, but on this occasion I'm going to concentrate on the capital, Valletta, and its 3 sister cities that gaze upon it from across the water. 48 hours, 4 cities, no time to waste. The airport is nice and close to Valletta. All you need to do is pay for the taxi ahead in the airport terminal, €17 I've paid, and you'll be there in about 10 minutes. I'm now in the heart of one of Europe's most exotic cities. Thank you. But before I get to my hotel, got a bit of climbing to do. Here's where I'm staying, SU29. It might sound like a postcode, but in fact it's short for St Ursula Steps number 29, one of the new generation of boutique hotels in Valletta. I've booked a single, and my goodness, it's comfortable, with a memory foam mattress. Can't remember the last time I got that. And look, the carpet is artificial turf. Come and have a look outside. You get a hat to borrow and a swing chair to enjoy. And if you happen to be travelling with company, come and have a look at 601. Room 601 is also known as the Charles and Ron Suite, after the designers who've taken the entire top floor and turned it into something of a palace of indulgence. Beautiful bed and a couple of hats there, as Tom Jones so rightly sang, "You can keep your hat on." And the penthouse suite even has its own balcony with superb views across Valletta and the Med, available every day from dawn. What a way to start the day! I'm at the easternmost tip of Valletta, watching the sunrise from the Mediterranean, the sea which has brought wave after wave of civilizations to Malta, leaving layer after layer of history. A quick lesson about the origins of Valletta. They start with the Knights of St John. This Christian military order of European noblemen began by caring for pilgrims to Jerusalem. For 2 centuries they lived on the island of Rhodes, but were driven out by the Turks early in the 16th century. They moved on to Malta, which at the time was sparsely populated, and established a city at Vittoriosa, facing present-day Valletta. The Turks attacked again, but the Knights survived the Great Siege of 1565. Their Grand Master, Jean de Valletta, decided to build a near-impenetrable citadel on the opposite shore. He never lived to see the city completed, but it was named in his honour, Valletta. The city has been awarded World Heritage status because of its unique characteristics and historic importance, for example as the first European capital to be laid out on a grid pattern. The Knights believed having straight streets would make their fortress city easier to defend. Make a dramatic start to your exploration here at the heavenly heart of Valletta. In 1666, as London was burning, here in Valletta, St John's Co-Cathedral was being completed, the spiritual headquarters of the Knights of St John, and a pretty good definition of the word lavish. It's called a co-cathedral because at the time it was built, Malta already had a cathedral elsewhere on the island which would have been downgraded. So instead they share the honours. Whatever you call it, it's the most elaborate place of worship I know in Europe. On Sundays, by the way, you can join a service at the co-cathedral, but it isn't open to tourists. The artistic highlight is the beheading of St. John the Baptist, a masterpiece by the Italian artist Caravaggio. And at the end of the 20th century, it was restored in Florence, including transportation by the Italian Navy. The Upper Baracca Gardens are filled with fountains and monuments, including one to Sir Winston Churchill. Each nationality of knights had their own stretch of Valletta's walls to defend, and this was the Italian part. It's called the Baracca Gardens because baracca means wooden huts. The Italians had wooden roofs put over the gardens so they wouldn't have to do too much defending or marching in the heat of the day. And these days, if you need to know the time, come round here shortly before lunch. Before the digital era, the noonday gun was an excellent way to tell everyone in the city when it was 12 midday, and the tradition lingers. The 19th century Valletta market has been very impressively converted into a food hub, where you can get anything from pizza to paella, calamares to kebabs. But for the best views, step out to the terrace of the Star Cafe, where you can order a Maltese ftira, that's their very special bread, and enjoy a proper cup of tea, while taking in the gorgeous sights of a city that seems to be built of cream and honey. And there's some pretty impressive burgers for the cameraman in your life. But if you want to drift back a century or so, Valletta can deliver with plenty of retro options and dishes. Born in 1921 and barely changed since. No, not me, the Museum Cafe, where I'm just about to tuck into a Maltese take on lasagna, arun il forn, baked macaroni. The retail geography in Valletta is quite straightforward. The two main streets for shopping are Republic and Merchant, and they're lined with a number of global or European branded stores. The more intriguing places are in the side streets. Now I'm working. Yep, filming. Yep. One of my favourite shops in Valletta is Czech Cheek in Melita Street. Czech Cheek's a Maltese word meaning knickknacks, basically anything random. It's lovely and it feels as though you're in Aladdin's cave. Valletta is just chock full of interesting little shops. There's another one just a couple of doors along. Here at Chocolate District you can buy single plantation chocolate from other exotic islands such as Madagascar, Sao Tome and Hispaniola. And if you happen to be in Valletta on a Tuesday between 7 and noon, head across to Vittoriosa for the weekly market. Valletta is the latest location in the Mediterranean with an outstanding arts venue. In 2018, Valletta enjoyed a year in the sun as European Capital of Culture, and the final act was the opening of a national museum, Musa, in the original home of the Italian Knights of St. John. After a varied subsequent career as a courthouse and post office, it's finally been transformed into a ravishing collection of galleries revealing Maltese culture through the ages. The curator is Dr. Alexander De Bono.
Musa is our brand new National Community Art Museum. We aspire to bridge the idea of the nation with the requirements and the needs of our communities. Musa is all about getting you inspired. So it's about connecting with audiovisuals, with hands-on experience, with interactives, but it's also about discovering and getting that inspiration which we might lack in our everyday life. The European Capital of Culture for Valletta had a very significant impact, and hopefully Musa will be one of those projects to carry on the legacy forward.
Like any national museum, Musa is about light and shade, but here there is also plenty of space. courtyard that's been inviting contemplation for over 400 years. Central Valletta buzzes with life in early evening, and at one outdoor cafe I met newlyweds Jake and Stephanie winding down.
Lots of people are coming here, so basically it has livened up. More restaurants have been opened up, definitely, and it's a good place to go and have a bite, I guess. I think Valletta is definitely one of the best places personally to go for a stroll.
Or head for the pub on Archbishop Street, where the actor Oliver Reed sadly passed away while relaxing after a day on the film set for Gladiator. He's still fondly remembered. Across the Grand Harbour, when the sun goes down, many people simply step aboard their luxury yachts for dinner. But it's my chef's night off tonight, so instead I've come here to the Maritime Museum. It's housed in the former naval bakery, which occupies the site where the Knights of St John kept their galleys. The museum's the largest in Malta, with over 20,000 artefacts, but the main reason I'm here is because I want to dine like a Knight of St John. This is the venue for a live demonstration of taste history. Liam Gauci is the curator and a food historian who's researched exhaustively what the Knights actually ate.
People visit us and taste what was being eaten in Malta 200 years ago. The Knights of St. John were going to be dining on sophisticated stuff. A good pasta, they would be eating porcini mushrooms, obviously then lots and lots of meat and different cheeses.
Tonight I'm going to party like it's 1799 or thereabouts, dining on 18th century food.
So you've got ship's biscuit, made out with 100% Maltese flour, aged pecorino, which is 100% Maltese sheep milk, Maltese ricotta, which is actually cooked with local seawater.
This was all the idea of my dinner companion, my local friend Roseanne.
We need to support our local farmers, the identity of our island, and obviously Malta has so much to offer in our local produce, so why not? We should all try it.
For the pasta course, Liam has a picture that he prepared earlier.
So this is where taste history brings paintings to life. This is the oldest image of pasta being eaten on the island that we know of. And this gentleman over here in the middle is eating pasta with his hands. Obviously you've got forks for that. But this is the same pasta that you saw being prepared just earlier by our chef. Handmade. Each and every pasta is made handmade with 100% Maltese flour, Maltese olive oil, salt, that's all.
The Knights even enjoyed ice cream created with ice from Mount Etna across the sea in Sicily.
We were obsessed with ice cream in Malta in the 18th century. There was this whole monopoly of ice being brought from Mount Etna to Malta every day. And here we have a recipe, and we're very lucky, it's a very rare occurrence that we actually know the name of the chef who invented this recipe, Michele Mercia from 1746. And he gives us this recipe of coffee from Yemen and Ethiopia, vanilla from Madagascar, cinnamon from the Pacific, sugar coming from Martinique, the French colonies, and obviously ice from Mount Etna. Nothing is produced in Malta. However, we made it so Maltese in the 18th century because this was all the rage in Valletta in the 1740s.
Do try this. It tastes almost smoky, but it is truly delicious and extraordinary. The City Gate, the main entrance to Valletta, designed by Renzo Piano. From here, many people simply drift into the network of streets, understandably enough. But I think it's equally worthwhile taking a hike around the city walls. The first sight you see as you pass through the gate is the new Parliament building, also designed by Renzo Piano. And it's followed by the ruins of the Opera House. Climb past it, then descend along one of the many picturesque thoroughfares of tall townhouses, Battery Street, taking you right over Victoria Gate. Red telephone box, red shutters, very pleasing. As is the view of the sea just over here. Just at the entrance to the lower Baraka Gardens, there's the QE2 Cafe. They're very fond of Her Majesty here. And I've got an appointment. There you are, walking around the perimeter of Valletta, and suddenly you spot what appears to be a Greek temple. Well, this was only put up just over 200 years ago, and it celebrates Sir Alexander Ball, who's a bit of a local hero. And guess what? One of his descendants, Josh Ball, is with me now. Josh, tell me about your great uncle or
yeah, great uncle or great grandfather. Yeah, so he was civil commissioner of Malta, and he was a great friend of Nelson as well. And from letters and things, it seemed like he saved his life once, and the Maltese loved him. I mean, they built a monument to him. It is very bizarre to think that he's related to me, and was held in such high regard.
Malta has always had immense military importance at the heart of the Mediterranean. In the Second World War, the island was attacked by Mussolini's Italian forces and later became the Allied base for invading Italy. Malta was supplied by convoys which were highly exposed to danger. Further along the walls there's a sombre memorial, the Siege Bell Monument, to the 7,000 civilian and military victims of attacks on the convoys. It includes a sculpture dedicated to the fallen. The island was awarded the George Cross in 1942. At some points along the wall you can descend to sea level. Near the eastern end of Valletta, beneath the walls, you discover a fishing village, complete with fishermen and his cats. You have to nudge inland to get past St Elmo's Fort, the star-shaped fortress that defends the Grand Harbour. On the northern side of the city, the view is very different, with derelict military installations interspersed with high-rise apartments. Keep your eyes open for the Great Ditch, a spectacular gorge carved through the limestone to defend Valletta. And after a couple of miles of walking beside the wall, here's my special trick. You walk inside the wall. Well, after that adventure, back where we started, I must say I'm in need of some fortification. If you've worked up an appetite, one possible Sunday morning solution is the historic Caffè Cordina, serving up the local speciality of pasticci from 8 a.m. every day. Or consider a feast at one of Valletta's hotels. Wherever you're staying, it might well be worth coming to SU29, 29 St Ursula Street, for brunch. Just look at this spread. All yours, well, not all, for €7.95. And you can sit outside on the steps to enjoy a light snack. In most of the cities where I spend 48 hours, the take a ride element involves a horizontal journey for which you pay. Here in Valletta, it's vertical and free. The lift from the upper Baraka Gardens to the waterfront costs €1 if you're going up, but nothing if you're taking advantage of a gravity-assisted descent. Coming back, if you buy a €1.50 ticket for a ferry across the harbour, the lift comes free. If you've got a grand harbour, you might as well take a grand little boat trip across from Valletta to Cospicua, one of the 3 cities that gaze across the water at the capital. Cospicua was founded by the Order of St John to augment Malta's formidable military strength. It merges with the oldest of the 3 cities, Vittoriosa, which was the original home of the knights and is still full of beauty. And completing the trilogy, Senglia, with a spectacular panorama on offer. I must say, I think this is one of my favourite views in Europe. I'm at Senglia Point, which, if you look at your hand, is really the first of the fingers of land that stick out towards Valletta, and it allows you to appreciate this glorious city in widescreen.
Time to see the three cities in close-up.
The address, Vault 2, Palace of the Captains of the Galleys, Vittoriosa, and I've come here for a rather special Sunday afternoon drive. Here's the idea. I have an electric car and I'm going to get a GPS guide and commentary as I go.
And please remember that in Malta, we drive on the left side of the road.
The name of the company is Rolling Geeks. The idea is that you drive a little electric car around the streets of Vittoria, Cospicua and Senglia with both directions and sightseeing commentary following your journey.
The speed of these electric vehicles is limited to 14 miles an hour, which is quite enough for exploring the back streets of this glorious city.
You need a driving licence and to be over 21. The company is watching you, tracking your location from base so they can find out where you are and help out if need be.
The Rolling Geeks tour takes you some really interesting places well off the tourist trail. This is Valletta, a fort that previously has been used as a prison and now it's used for social housing. Well off the tourist trail.
The tour is available in 8 different languages, including Chinese and Russian. Previous guests include Ban Ki-moon and Jean-Claude Juncker, though not in the same car.
A city with a grand harbour in the heart of the Mediterranean is inevitably going to be in constant change. Yet the transformations I've seen in Valletta in the past few years have all been for the good, making it even more of a place to spend 48 hours, or ideally a bit longer.
Of course, Valletta is only part of the appeal of the Isle of Malta. With the excellent bus service or a rental car, you can use the capital as a base to explore the island's 4 corners. There's 100 miles of coastline, which includes some superb beaches as well as pretty fishing villages and the amazing cliffs of Dingley. And inland, a wealth of history stretching from structures created before the pyramids and Stonehenge to the present-day delights of the former capital Mdina, which is popular with celebrity travellers.
We've had many celebrities staying here and many heads of state. In fact, we had Bruce Willis here who didn't move out of his room for 4 days.
In 2019, you can fly to Malta from 20 UK airports on Air Malta, British Airways, EasyJet, Jet2 and Ryanair, or choose one of the many package holidays on offer. For more information, visit maltauk.com. And thanks for joining me for 48 hours in Valletta.